Today, we're stepping into something really core to how teams work, or sometimes, well, how they don't work.
Yeah.
We're digging into team cohesion. We've got some great source material here that honestly offers a bit of a shortcut for leaders trying to figure things out.
Mm.
You see those groups forming at work, the cliques,
hmm
and you wonder, is that good? Is that just collaboration? Or is it like the beginning of things starting to fragment?
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the mission for you, listening in. It's not just about learning some definitions, it's about getting diagnostic
It's
tools.
great.
Understanding this difference we're going to talk about, it's probably the quickest way to really gauge the health of a team, whether you're leading it or just, part of it.
Okay.
It boils down to figuring out the intent behind those relationships you see. Are they working for the mission? Or, well, are they mostly working for themselves?
That idea of intent, that feels like the absolute key. So let's get into it. Well, our source material talks about this core challenge for leaders.
Mm.
You got to watch your team, make sure they're unified, prevent splits.
Right.
And it lays out this, let's call it the leadership cohesion principle. It really focuses on nailing down the difference between two words, alliances and allegiances.
Yes. And we really need to be clear here because, look, from the outside, they can look almost identical sometimes.
Hmm.
So let's start with the positive one. An alliance. Think of an alliance as a strategic partnership. Yeah. Its purpose, its intent is collaborative. It's designed to get something done for the wider team.
Okay, strategic, collaborative, benefits the team.
Got it. Think about maybe two managers from different departments.
Yeah.
They both realize, hey, we can't hit this big company target alone, so they team up.
Right.
Maybe pull some people together for a specific project, short term. They might even bypass some of the usual red tape because the goal is urgent, important for everyone. That's an alliance. It's driven by the goal, and it helps the whole organization.
Okay, that makes total sense. The goal shapes the partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So then what's the flip side? The allegiance.
Right, allegiance. This is where it gets different. Allegiance is about personal loyalty, straight up. And look, loyalty itself isn't bad, obviously, it's human. But in a team context, when that loyalty becomes an allegiance, that's often where you see the red flags.
Because
Because it tends to become insular. The loyalty is directed towards a specific person or maybe a small group, and it often ends up excluding others, or even excluding the team's main mission. The partnership's main goal shifts to protecting its members, not advancing the team's objective.
so it's loyalty inward, not outward towards the goal.
Precisely. And what's really fascinating and maybe a bit tricky is that the closeness of the people involved, that's not the deciding factor. They could be best friends in an alliance or an allegiance.
Okay, so it's not about how friendly they are.
No. The critical difference is the impact of their relationship on the team. And going back to that word, the intent behind it, is this little group building bridges for everyone, or are they building walls? Yeah. So like a really damaging allegiance might be, say, an employee who's super loyal to their direct manager.
Okay.
And because of that loyalty, they maybe hide some negative data or filter out bad feedback during a review to make their manager look good.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Right. The allegiance, the personal loyalty overrides the need for honesty, for transparency that the whole organization needs. That relationship isolates information, it can be destructive, and it's focused inward on protecting someone, not outward on the truth or the mission.
So alliances share, allegiances hoard. Is that too simple?
It's a good starting point. Alliances tend to be collaborative, open, permeable. Allegiances often feel isolating, closed off, opaque.
Okay, that distinction is becoming much clearer. But, for the leader who's actually managing the team day to day, how do you spot this stuff in real time? It's not always obvious.
It's definitely not. And the source material really hammers this. A leader's key skill here isn't just knowing the theory, it's the observation. It's actively assessing relationships to see what their real impact is.
So you're like a behavioral detective.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to look for the signals if you're trying to figure out, is this close relationship an alliance or an allegiance? There are a couple of key things to watch.
Like what?
Information flow is a big one. Do insights from this little group get shared back with the wider team? Because if it's an alliance focused on a shared goal, they will share. They want the whole team to benefit.
Makes sense.
But if it's an allegiance, you might see information hoarding or, another big signal, defensiveness.
Okay.
Yeah, like if someone outside the group asks a simple, clarifying question and the response is immediately guarded or hostile, that's often a sign the walls are up. They're protecting their bond over sharing knowledge.
That's super practical.
Yeah.
Watch how information moves. Watch for defensiveness. Okay. So say the leader does that. They make the assessment. They think, okay, this is probably an allegiance, or this looks like a healthy alliance. What then? What's the action plan?
Right, observation isn't enough. The source lays out two main actions. First, if you see an alliance and its intent is clearly collaborative, helping the team,
Yeah.
you encourage it actively. Acknowledge it, maybe even give that group more responsibility, perhaps a cross-functional task that plays to their combined strength. You reinforce the positive behavior.
Okay, encourage the good stuff. Makes sense. Now, what are the allegiances? The tricky ones.
This is where the real leadership finesse comes in. You can't just like ban them or tell people to stop being friends.
Right, that would backfire massively.
Totally. So the primary action here is careful redirection. And this takes skill because you're dealing with strong emotions, with loyalty.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. If you try to redirect someone's personal loyalty, isn't there a huge risk they'll just feel manipulated or resentful? Especially if the leader isn't, super skilled at this.
That's a really critical point. And yes, it absolutely can look like manipulation if the leader's goal seems to be just suppressing the friendship itself.
Right.
But true redirection isn't about attacking the relationship. It's about clarifying the priorities. It's about aligning their energy with the team's goals.
So how do you do that, practically, without making it feel punitive?
Well, one effective way is to give that clique, that allegiance-based group, a new challenge. A really important, non-negotiable, team-wide objective.
Get it.
Something that genuinely requires their unique combined skills, their tight bond, but which absolutely must serve the broader organization's mission. You're essentially harnessing their existing loyalty and cohesiveness.
But pointing it outward.
Yeah.
Towards the mission.
Exactly. You make their allegiance productive by giving it a mission-critical outlet that forces collaboration beyond their small circle. You're basically nudging them to transform their allegiance into an alliance.
Ah, I see. So you don't try to break them up. You give them a bigger sandbox to play in, one that requires them to interact more broadly, that feels much more constructive.
It is. And when you connect that to the bigger picture, this kind of active, intentional management of these internal dynamics, that's how you stop fragmentation before it really takes hold.
You shift the culture.
You shift it from loyalty gets you ahead to collaboration on the mission gets us all ahead.
Okay. Now, I can hear listeners thinking, does this mean my workplace needs to be totally sterile? No close friends allowed? We need to be careful here, right?
Absolutely. The source material is very clear about the nuance needed. There are like 3 key things to remember.
Lay them on us.
First, just reiterate. Not all close relationships are bad. Far from it. They often fuel a positive culture. Second, leaders need to actively encourage the relationships that function as alliances, the ones clearly helping the whole team. Spot them, champion them.
Got it. And third.
Third brings us back to redirection. The leader's job is ongoing alignment, gently, consistently channeling that powerful human need for connection and loyalty away from just protecting the in-group and towards the shared team goals and the overall mission.
Right. Continuous realignment.
And this leads to a really important PS from the source material. It emphasizes that leaders cannot, and frankly should not, try to stop people from building relationships at work.
Yeah, that seems obvious.
Well, it's more than just allowing it. You actually need healthy social dynamics. Those relationships build trust, and trust is what lets people take risks, innovate, actually function well together. You need that emotional connection.
But, and I sense a but coming.
Yes. There's always a but.
Yeah.
But, and this is the non-negotiable part the leader has to constantly reinforce. The primary mission comes first. Making friends, that's great. It's maybe even necessary for a healthy environment.
Necessary. Okay.
But achieving the business goals, that's the requirement. That's why the team, the organization, actually exists.
Necessary versus required. That's a powerful distinction.
It really is. And it boils down to that core mantra. The whole needs to be greater than the sum of its parts. Think of it as 2 layers. Layer 1, building social bonds, friendships. That's necessary. It provides the psychological safety, the resilience.
Right, human element.
Layer 2, hitting the targets, achieving the business outcomes. That's required. That's the job.
And the leader's role
is to make sure the necessary always supports the required and never undermines it. When an allegiance starts putting personal protection or comfort ahead of the required goal, that's the moment fragmentation starts. Right. That's the intervention point for redirection.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. What we've learned today is that anyone involved in a team managing it, part of it, just observing it, needs this tool. The ability to tell the difference between alliances
Which are those beneficial strategic partnerships, collaborative, mission-focused?
and allegiances.
Which are the potentially divisive personal loyalties, often isolating, focused on individuals or small groups?
And the key isn't just spotting them. It's looking at the behaviors. Is information flowing freely, or is it being hoarded? Is the vibe collaborative, or is it defensive?
Exactly. And that brings up a really practical question for you, the listener, to think about right now. Look around at your own work, your teams, your projects.
Yeah.
Where do you see clear alliances really boosting things, making work better, faster, more cross-functional? And be honest.
Yeah.
Where might you be seeing personal allegiances subtly causing problems, maybe slowing things down, hiding truths, pulling energy away from the real goal?
Just identifying those friction points, that's step one.
It absolutely is. Awareness is the start.
Okay, so here's a final thought to chew on this week, digging into that tension we talked about. If relationships are necessary for that healthy, trusting environment, but hitting the business goals is strictly required, how much formal structure does a leader need? How much deliberate communication? How many mandated cross-team projects? How much scaffolding do you need to build to make absolutely sure the necessary foundation doesn't accidentally start overriding the required mission?
That's good.
Where's that balancing point?
Yeah.
That structural challenge? Maybe that's where the real art of leadership lies.
Yeah. Finding that sweet spot between human connection and mission focus, that's the game.